Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the case may be. This is Dr. Jeff ringing in, your Associate Dean here in the Department of Criminal Justice and the Social Sciences, Southern New Hampshire University. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel because I'm doing all that I can. These Dr. C's Corner videos, I started this when the pandemic hit and we're all closed up, and I just wanted to make sure that I'm doing my part to make sure you know that we care about you, we support you, and there are things that we believe myself along with your incredible criminal justice faculty that are important to your learning experience. Okay. Today I want to talk about thinking. Actually, no, I want to talk about thinking because really, as problem solvers, that's our industry. We are in the problem solving industry and we have to communicate effectively, all those things, right? But we have to also think about thinking itself. What does it mean? I'm very fond of, and I really enjoy my relationship and all the great information I get from the Foundation for Critical Thinking. And they have conferences and seminars, and they put out great books like this. Because if you're a student or a learner or a teacher, problem solver, you're thinking all the time. You're analyzing, you're evaluating, you're assessing, you're observing. Okay, then you have to translate all that information into some sort of coherent, articulate, and effective problem solving message. Sometimes we call those papers projects, right? But that's who we are. And the most effective problem solvers do think about thinking all the time. And I'm going to talk briefly about the 35 dimensions of critical thought. But what does this really mean, thinking about thinking? So why is it important? Everyone thinks it is in our nature to do so, right? To think. But much of our thinking left to itself is biased, it's distorted, partial, uninformed, or downright prejudiced. Yet the quality of our life and what we produce, make, or build depends precisely on the quality of our thought. Shoddy thinking is costly, both in money and in quality of life. If we want to think well, we must understand at least the rudiments of thought, the most basic structures out of which all thinking is made. We must learn how to take thinking apart. And I might do a two-parter on this because there's a lot of great information here that it really does help you analyze your own thought processes and to really understand who you are as a thinking problem solver. Okay? 35 dimensions of critical thought. I'm not going to read them all to you. I'll just pick out a few that I believe to be, at least for now, kind of important, kind of a teaser, but you have your affective dimensions. Thinking independently. Now, when you look at that, the world of learning you're in, the asynchronous, psychologically disconnected world where you're not sitting next to someone in a classroom, you are independent and you are asked to think independently, which is not easy to do, is it? Another part of that is exploring thoughts, underlying feelings, and feelings underlying your thought. Oftentimes people think with their emotion first and that leave it at the table and that's it, without really pausing to do some introspective analysis of how they arrived at their conclusion, their summation, or their opinion. Cognitive dimensions, your macro abilities, refining generalizations and avoiding oversimplification. Much too easy, aren't we drawn to that particular water? We like to oversimplify when we know that the problems we look at are very complex, have a variety of causes, and all need to be analyzed and assessed and evaluated so we can solve the problem. We need to be able to clarify these issues, conclusions, or beliefs. We have to evaluate the credibility of sources of information. There's no such thing as original thought. When you're asked to do your literature review, go into the library, etc., you have to be in there and evaluate, okay, the substantive elements. How important, how critical, how does it align with what you are doing? Analyzing or evaluating actions or policies. You've probably seen analyzing and evaluating in some of your rubrics, correct? Listening critically, the art of silent dialogue. Dr. Greg Fowler says it's best. God gave us two ears, but one mouth, right? Reasoning dialogically, comparing perspectives, interpretations, or theories. One of the best places that we have in your courses are your discussion boards where you can see how other people think, okay, and what their observations and perceptions may be, their interpretations of an event or a problem. That may be provocative at times, but provocation of thought, provocation is at the root of thinking, at the root of critical thinking, at the root of change. And learning is about change. I have been around a long time and I love my aha moments when I realize I've been wrong about something. That's learning. Sometimes it's painful, but that's learning, is it not? Last, your cognitive dimensions, your micro skills. Comparing and contrasting ideals with actual practice. Comparing and contrasting ideals. Comparing and contrasting, have you seen those in your rubrics? Making plausible inferences, predictions, or interpretations. In the text-based environment in which you're in, you have to interpret. You have to read a lot, and you have to sustain your reading. You can't snapshot read. You have to look in and create. You've got to become an in-depth, fluent reader of material so that you incorporate that into your library, your repository of information that you can retrieve to apply articulately and accurately so you can be the best problem solver you can be. The last thing here I'll leave you with is giving reasons and evaluating evidence and alleged facts. I'll leave that one for you to chew on and to think about it. You know, your instructors are doing all that they possibly can, utilizing the information that you're supposed to interpret for your assessments, your papers, for example. And they use a rubric, a lot of which, okay, a lot of your language in the rubric really is aligned with an assessment of thinking, is it not? That's why it's important for you to look at those rubrics, ask for clarification from your instructors, what is expected of you, so you can demonstrate to the best of your ability critical thinking. Have a great week, everyone. See you next week. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and as always, be safe.